when the discussion happens, a lot of the wrong things get said, and a lot of the wrong discussions happen, and a lot of the wrong voices are heard. So I definitely wanted to get some very intelligent, nerdy girls up here. This is a topic that means a lot to us, and it's something we think about, we talk about a lot, and we wanted to share that with you all today. So let me run down the line. We have our Ghetto Fabulous cards up here, but I'll do it for you anyway. First up, we have Tracey John, freelance journalist who has written for everybody under the sun, including UGO.com, The Daily, and something called The Escapist. Lovely and talented Kathleen Vere, who's comedian with sketch comedy troupe LoadingReadyRun. Trina Schwimmer, the founder of GamingAngels.com. And the one, the only, and the incredibly sick AJ Glasser from Inside Social Games. Seriously, don't breathe her air, you'll die. Patient zero, right here. One thing I want to prep with is we unfortunately only have a very limited amount of time today. We cannot possibly cover all the female characters. We really want to. If we don't get to yours, it's not because we don't love her, it's not because we don't think she's important, it's just because we can only do so much. I would definitely encourage you to bring that up in Q&A session. We're going to devote the last half hour, 20 minutes to Q&A. Because the room is so big, if you know there's something you want to discuss, you might want to get in line now. Just saying. Okay, the first thing I really wanted to address is that there are some common misconceptions about how female nerds, female gamers feel about female characters, and the first one is that we hate sexiness. That if there's a character who is physically attractive, she's got nice curves, whatever, that if she is sexy, that is automatically sexist, and therefore we hate it and want to see it destroyed with fire. Is this something that you ladies also encounter, that you'll like a character and then you'll get into a discussion and be like, oh my god, no, her boobs are all out there, she's horrible. That's usually the default objection I ever hear. It's like, oh my god, her breasts are like so huge though. I'm like, why is the first thing we have to talk about breasts? Like, can't I just hate her to hate her? Do I have to hate her because she's pretty? We look at fighting games, like I'm a huge fan of the Dead or Alive series, which is about 50% sex appeal, 50% actual fighting game. Ironically, that game is the most... that game series, I should say, is one of the most feminist fighting game series out there because about 50% of the roster is female. And that you won't see that in Street Fighter, you don't see that in Marvel vs. Capcom. So we have to give Dead or Alive props, but we also have to acknowledge the jiggle.
I was going to say, the only issue I really have with that is the physics. I can't.
Okay. See, if you're going to hate the game, hate it because of the game part, not because of the other parts. But yeah, I run into that a lot actually. It's like, I have a problem with this character because she's pretty, or because she's incredibly well known. Yeah, the one character where I encounter it the most is Lara Croft. And I will, I would really like to like the Tomb Raider games, but why does she have to have such big boobs and, little short shorts? I'm like, you're hating it because of that, not because the camera blows? My thing is that if sexiness is so bad, why the hell are we all going to the gym so much? Why are we spending so much time on our hair? Obviously, attractiveness is good. Lara Croft is an incredibly strong character. She's educated, she's caring about family, she's wealthy, she's courageous. She also happens to be hot. When did that become a bad thing?
Well, the funny thing with Lara Croft is that people differ even based on which Lara Croft you're talking about. So, at the beginning she's strong, yeah, she has kind of big boobs, and then the boobs get bigger and bigger, and you start losing people who enjoy or like Lara Croft as a character and who she was. And that gets lost in the message, which is sad. I know as running a female gaming community, they expect you, the first time you have a hands-on, to judge the character based on their attractiveness. And I want to know, is it a good character? And is it a solid character that you want to care about?
And if we're going to care about attractiveness, why can't the men be a little bit nicer looking?
This is why I like Japanese games. Lots of bishis for me to look at.
To contrast the sexiness that we're talking about with sexist, and when it actually crosses that threshold into just, no. You take Ivy from the original Soul Calibur, strong, fierce, covered head to toe, still very sexy, but not, you know, nasty, don't hate her because she's beautiful. I hate her boyfriend thinks so.
Yeah, I hate her because her character designer is like, you know what she needs? More slut. She
just needs a shirt.
She needs a sandwich. But also going back to the boobs, because, okay, we're just boobs, okay? Chicks have boobs. I don't know if you know. They do. Sometimes they're big. And then you get a character like Morgan from Dragon Age. Now, granted, girlfriend has some really awesome double stick tape. It's called magic. Remember, she does magic. Yeah. But, and this is something that Tracey had brought up, like, okay, yeah, she's half naked, but at least she's proportional. She looks like she's had a meal every once in a while. So is it, this is another misconception that as soon as she's dressed somewhat skimpily, oh yeah, we automatically hate the character.
Well, I mean, when we go back to Ivy and the boob, it's just that character is so clearly designed around just her looks and not her mechanics or not the strength of her character, which is really disappointing because their Soul Calibur ladies characters tend to kind of suck, with a couple of exceptions. The male characters
suck as a fighting
character. Like the range is usually really badly clipped, and Sophia is like so freaking slow. It's pointless to play as her. Talon has got something going for her, I guess. But
she's really fast. She's really fast.
Yeah, she's good. But you know, you look at Ivy. Ivy's, you know, in the hands of a skilled player, I'm sure she can hold her own. But in general, no. Like she's not a great character. She's just there to be a nice ass bouncing around the room. So,
and she didn't used to be, and that's what really frustrates me, is in the original Soul Calibur, if you could master Ivy, and she was an incredibly difficult character to master, but if you could master her, you could whip anyone. And now she's just a law.
I think another good example of this is Bayonetta, because she's not actually wearing anything, she's technically wearing hair. And she's funny, she's sassy, it's not a serious game, but she's sort of a written tongue-in-cheek character. And I think it's fine to be like, hey, this is sexy, and we're winking to the camera, and, you know, but whatever, like, this is clearly not taking itself seriously. It's just, this is a silly game with a silly main premise for a character, and it's just supposed to be fun to play, and I don't have a problem with that as a female gamer. At least it's a female main character. At least it's like, wow, we think we can sell a game with a female main character, and make her at least witty. That's a big step.
I just think the issue with Bayonetta, which I think has been discussed before, I think on GamePro, is that Bayonetta is an empowering character for women. And you know, while I think it's okay to have sort of a fun, sexy, tongue-in-cheek kind of character, I wouldn't necessarily say that Bayonetta is a character that I would like to see for all as great female characters.
Well, that essay was actually written by Lee Alexander. It was a guest column on GamePro. I have to claim that I didn't actually get that far in Bayonetta, so my opinions around the game are not very strong. I think that, yeah, she's a nice ass bouncing around the room, but she was also kind of funny, and like, she did stuff. She carried that whole game on her back. Kind of like Leonardo DiCaprio in Titanic, right? I mean, he was hot. And that was all people went to see the movie for, was just kind of him being hot. And it just, yeah, you get into these situations where people who only see the game from the outside just see the tits and, you know, the exposed back and stuff, and they don't really see the character's deeper layers if there are any, because they don't bother going any farther in. But love her or hate her, she did carry that game, and that game did sell. And so we will see more characters probably like Bayonetta, so it's important to focus on what she did right, as opposed to the stuff that so that Sega knows to keep that up, as opposed to all the other stuff. And the fact that she was well written, I think, is really, really important, because women characters are usually not written very well, and that's...
Characters are usually not written well.
That's true. Well, why is it got to be a gender thing? Just all writing.
But I think one thing that makes Bayonetta particularly appealing is that she very much owns her sexuality. Yeah, she's hot, but she ain't hot for you. She is hot because she is hot. It's all her, and if you happen to admire it, that's fine. That's great. And she owns it, and she uses it when it suits her purposes. Unfortunately, I think that's kind of something that might be lost on a lot of people who played it.
I believe that would be true. I mean, how many of you are familiar with Betty Page? Tracey, I think it was you who wound up behind those girls that mistook a Betty Page statue for Katy Perry.
Yeah.
We live in a sexualized culture, and I think that a lot of that stems from, you know, women began to explore their sexuality and the whole feminist movement. Yay, I'm putting my feminist hat on.
Yeah, we're going to use the F word a lot.
Betty Page made sexy mainstream, and then Katy Perry made sexy normalized. I mean, yeah, this is just how everybody is. They totally look like Betty Page. Isn't that awesome? And for me, the answer is yes. That's just because of I had my father and my mother liberated people, and my dad hung a Frazetta painting in my bedroom growing up so that I would have a healthy body image. Because that's the kind of man, that's how my dad rolls. That's Frazetta. Baby, you go out there and you ride those lines. And so to me, this is owning sexuality. I mean, if you're gonna do it, you do it well, and you take pride in how you look, and you take pride in what you do, and that is what defines sexy. And so I think that that's something that people miss out on who maybe don't think about whether or not they're sexy. I mean, how many of you spend any amount of time thinking about whether or not you're sexy when you're playing a game? See?
No, you just know it. But I think a big part of that is, especially from Bayonetta's point of view, in Bayonetta's world, people have sex. It's just a very natural thing, and I think that the sexiness in other games is that kind of tee-hee giggling behind your hand. You know, sex is something you have behind closed doors with all the lights off, and it's something that you don't talk about because it's taboo. Whereas in, you know, Bayonetta, the setting is sex is something people do and you like it, and that's normal. And I feel like that a lot of female characters, and not just in games either, female characters across geek genre stuff, movies, comic books, TV shows, I feel like the women in there aren't allowed to have that kind of adult attitude towards sex because perhaps the makers don't think that the audience is up to handling it.
With Bayonetta, though, do you think there's kind of a barrier to females wanting to play the game? If they had put her in a leotard outfit that did the same thing, and she was funny and witty and the same, and it wasn't really that she, you know, lost her clothes when she fought. Do you think it would have had the same impact and maybe brought more women into playing it?
I don't know, what do you guys think about that?
I don't really think it would make a difference to me either way. I mean, realistically, you don't really see anything in the game. And it's, I mean, okay, it's a skin-tight hairsuit, which is kind of weird. It's a skin-tight leotard. It's really the same thing in the end. I would rather play a game that had, like, dating sim elements and extended bikini scenes like Persona 4, because it had well-written female characters in it, than a game with then Final Fantasy XIII, where everybody was written like a plank of wood, even if they were more